Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Bite-Size Branding Live show. I'm wearing a very fancy headset today because I forgot my headphones. And as always, would like to welcome everyone to the show. Grant, my co-host, is always here to support me. And our special guest today, 𝐓𝐻𝐿𝐻 from 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Consulting, or 𝐓𝐻𝐿𝐻 Consulting, who has some awesome stuff that she's going to tell us about psychology, and our special little pop-up guest, Maddie May, who, if you don't know, works with Lucidity and heads up the outbound managed sales offering, which is why I thought it would be great to get them both on the show so they can bump heads and tell us all about how psychology and sales works. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me and having me on the show.
Man, I didn't have a choice. When I met you, I was like, I gotta have her on the show.
I didn't have much of a choice, did I? It's like, you're going to be on, you're going to be on Bite-Size Branding. Okay, sure. I'm happy to talk about sales.
And that's why I
love
invited you.
Sales. I could talk about it all day and night. So yeah, happy to be here.
What I'm going to do first is I'm going to kick it over to Grant to give everyone a breakdown of how the show is going to work, and then we'll jump back to you, Leanne, and you can give us a little bit of background around your consulting firm, and then we'll kick off the questions, the fun part. Grant, mate, take it away.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Bernard, and welcome everybody to the show, and welcome to our guests, Leanne and Maddie. My name is Grant Palmer. I'm known as the head fire starter of the marketing and advertising industry. What that means is people turn to me when it comes to wanting to grow their business, make their brands valuable, and end up their brands as well. What we like to do is we like to create these edutainment segments where we come in and like to entertain and educate our audience as to aspects of what goes on in the show. And what we normally do is we set a clock where we set a question and set a clock with a view to beat the clock in answering the question. It's normally 5 minutes, but when we bring on a guest, we add on 2 extra minutes just for a little bit of butting and interference with a view to get everyone's point across. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about the point in the sense of what is valid for customers and valid for businesses to move on ahead. So I'm very excited to jump onto the subject of sales and understand how all our audiences and customers who own businesses can benefit from the show. So let's get rocking.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant. That was a great intro. It's like you've done this 69 times before. Leanne, super excited to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit more about what you guys do at 𝐓𝐻𝐿𝐻 Consulting.
Yeah, sure. So 𝐓𝐻𝐿𝐻 Consulting is a sales, basically psychology and business strategy advisory firm. And we use sales strategies that are based in psychology, behavioral science, consumer psychology, and also neuroscience. So it's understanding the behaviors and the irrationality, the emotional and logical thinking, the psyche of our audience, of our ideal customer, and how to sell to that emotional and logical side of the customer. So we develop and build and design sales training programs to teach our clients, and actually I do a lot of lecturing and teaching in universities as well, the strategies, skills and tactics to create influence, ethical influence, to stand out in a marketplace, influence your customers and your colleagues and the people that you're communicating with to win or close more sales. And we use particular tools and techniques and some psychometric assessments to get a much clearer understanding of our customer. So when it comes to cold calling or cold emailing, we actually don't like or even engage in that, and people don't really want to engage in that kind of selling. It is always tepid and warm because we have already been able to engage in a way that they want to, using science, not guesswork.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
And there was something around that I heard. I'm not sure if I picked that up right. Do you also make the training courses bespoke, depending on the business's needs?
100%. So everything we do is customized and bespoke. So we have a couple of sort of standard programs that I actually run these are sort of for smaller businesses and those that are a little bit inexperienced and don't have a lot of confidence, because confidence is really important. Confidence depends on personality as well, but confidence is important, and optimism in sales for sure. No one wants to buy from a pessimistic salesperson. So we have those sort of standard courses that we run 4 times a year. There's 6 weeks on a Friday afternoon. That's separate. Everything else that we do when we work with clients individually, small, medium, large corporates, and globally as well, everything is written and designed for that business. So we like to really immerse ourselves into the company, into the team, into the sales team, the marketing team, the strategic brainstorming and groupthink in a way, and understand how they operate, so we can use those procedures and frameworks, even right down to acronyms, terminology within the industry. So it is extremely bespoke, but it takes on a total neuroscience aspect based on the industry that they're in.
Wow, that was a very yeah. That was the scientific answer. No, that's amazing. It's incredible, and I think that is perfect. And it resonates a lot with what we develop as a team here. The whole integration of sales and marketing, which we often find to be the biggest disconnect in a business. Sales is doing one thing, marketing is doing another. They don't provide the right resources for each other. The languaging is different, and there's a big fracture in the business. And that's where people start to the authenticity, the trust starts to fall through, because they're like, well, if you can't get your message right, if you don't know what you're talking about, then why should I buy from you?
Yeah, 100%.
In saying that, I'm going to throw Maddie under the bus as well and say, hey, Maddie, tell everyone what we do. No, not throw her under the bus. Look, I think, I'll let it for Maddie to give a bit more of a breakdown of what we do as well, because I think it'll be nice to share that, or what she does and with her team. And it's all about relationship building, but I'll throw it to Mads. Tell everyone a little bit more about our relationship with sales.
Yeah, it's what Leanne would call the dirty word. It is cold sales. So basically, we collate data based off of what a client needs, based off of industry, revenue, location, company size, whatever their ideal target market is. We find out enough information about them to be able to actually go in warm enough that we can know their industry and a little bit about their business, so that we can leverage that into a conversation. As I'm sure you're aware, Leanne, when people say yes 3 times psychologically, so that way, if we're getting them to say yes a lot of different times, we can usually bring them into a sale as well. So we're getting to know their industry, a lot about what they're doing, so that we can get them to say yes enough times to then bring them into a sale. And then that way, for the client, we can get them a lot of warm leads and a lot of possible opportunities and a lot of sales as well in the end. So we do all end-to-end sales, all the way the follow-ups, bringing the client into 1 or 2 meetings until the close. But it is cold sales. It just does come across quite warm, because we do a lot of research, and we have an Australian-based team. And fortunately, having Australian-based people and people in Sydney specifically, it means that you can leverage a sense of commonality, because we are from the same place and we are speaking the same language and we have the same lingo. So it does mean that we do go in quite warm in comparison to other call centers or other people doing sales. But yeah.
And so we always say it's rapport and relationship
Yeah.
selling, not going for the sale. We're not trying to make a sale on the call. We're all about building a good relationship and building that rapport. And if somebody likes us and trusts what we're doing, and we align on similar kind of commonalities, philosophies, then that's when the opportunity shows itself. So rather than trying to make a sale, we create opportunities. So
yeah, people buy from people they like. So it's just creating that relationship.
And I don't know why anyone
like
likes Maddie. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, never. You know.
People buy from people, full stop. That's actually the first step.
That's very true.
Yeah. And it's the funniest when you get people who are very much cold call center trained. They're like robots, they just follow the script. Like, I'm like, no. It's just a guide. Like, just call them and just check on how they're doing. Actually find out about them, talk to them about, actually go to their website and check out a project and see what they do and fall in love with their product as much as you know, you want to get on the phone with them, then you can actually talk about them, you know. And in saying that, that is the longest intro ever. And
Totally.
let's get to
the questions.
I know it started. We already blew it up. Let's jump into the questions. Everyone ready? I am hand holding today, so I will periodically do this to show you what the tayang is. The first question is, because there is a lot of interest around this psychology and sales and the mix there, are there any philosophies that you have found that directly correlate with sales methodology? Are there things that you kind of take out of it and you go, in psychology, there are these kind of foundational measures or tools or ideals, and here's how it translates into sales. Are we ready to rumble?
We are ready to go.
Boom. Go.
Okay.
Toss it to Leanne. Yeah.
So I work a lot with archetypes and Jungian archetypes in particular. They're a very ancient and old way of understanding people's behaviors and their expression. So an archetype is an inborn natural way that we behave. We are born this way. And even if we have different experiences or environmental factors or other variables in our lives, our archetype is the way that we are. It's part of what Carl Jung, who was a Swiss psychoanalyst, calls the collective unconscious, and it's the way that we operate. So we use archetypes. It's used a lot in branding and in marketing. We use a lot in business and in sales, where you are identifying your own archetype and also those of your customer that you can then relate to them. One of the main issues that we have as humans, we are social creatures, and we believe that everyone wants to communicate in the way that we are. Like, I'm a huge personality. I have a Greek background. My arms are always, I mean, they're not now, I'm trying to keep them contained, but my normally flying around, and my voice, I've got a lot of inflection in my voice. It goes up and down, speed up and down, tempo, cadence, the works. But that's not what everybody's like. So we teach based on archetypes, based on personality mapping, and on other communication methods, how to resonate directly with the customer, how they want to be communicated with, and how that's the way you sell. One thing also is what scares people about sales is that everyone thinks sales is pushy. But I always say, don't sell, just help. Just help someone solve a problem. Help someone come to a conclusion. We are always selling. That's what we do day in, day out. There doesn't have to be a transaction. There doesn't have to be a transfer of money. Right now, we're in a sales process because we are learning from one another, and we are guiding and advising and giving knowledge to one another to make us a better person. That's still a sales process. So understanding the way people want to be communicated with is really, really important, and that's what makes a successful salesperson.
I got a question. As you were saying that, when you're talking about, matching the archetype and then communicating in a way that resonates, I've found in my business that sometimes being the high energy one in almost an inspirational way helps a sale come across the line. So like you'll find somebody who's a little bit more demure, who's a little bit more maybe what do you call it?
More steady or compliant, as I call it. More steady,
yeah, perhaps,
a little bit more of an introvert.
Yeah, more introverted. That was the word I was looking for. They're more introverted, and being in a conversation and then feeling that energy, and kind of having that cool factor. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They bind it. Does that have you experienced that? Do you know what that
Yeah,
is?
but true. A very positive. So now we're going into positive psychology. So the positivity, the optimism, the happiness, the positive attitude, upbeat, motivational way that people express themselves, which is very much, all of us, does help. However, if we are talking to someone who is more of an introvert, if we're talking Myers-Briggs psychometrics here, so introvert, extrovert, they will find that overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it can actually work against us. So even though we have the positivity and that liveliness, which a lot of people love and love in a social situation, in a sales situation, not so much. It can be intimidating. It can come across as pushy. It can come across as being overly familiar. And so those that have a more steady or compliant personality can also almost take a bit of an offense. So even though it works in the majority of cases, we have to be mindful as those people of who we are talking to, what our customers are like. And I teach the tools of how to recognize those behaviors, so then I'll adjust. So quite often I will reduce the speed of my voice. I will lower the tone. I will speak more slowly. I also transfer my body weight backwards to give a lot more space between me and the person, so they feel comfortable within their sphere. Once they get to know me and they start building that trust, I can amplify myself a little bit more, still not to the maximum, but a little bit more for them to understand me, and then they feel more comfortable. So yes, it works, but only in certain situations.
Absolutely. I find the
Is
same
there a
as well.
difference?
Like,
What
I
was that,
find
Fran?
it's really effective to match and mirror specifically, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Is when you are talking to someone really shy, or even sometimes a man, it's easier to go a little bit more demure as a woman, because usually they do like that, and then they become more forceful in wanting to make that sale and getting to know you as well. So it's quite interesting.
Gender definitely plays a little bit of a role, not a lot. To be honest, that's a bit of a perception and actually a cognitive bias. It all comes down, because you can have males. I mean, my background is medicine, and so I worked with medical physicists, males. You think they'd be dominant, actually not. They were compliant because they were in quality assurance. They were making sure that the radiation I was delivering to my patients, my cancer patients, was spot on. So they actually had a very detail-oriented personality. So for me to be able to then be over the top would actually be intimidating for them. So it isn't so much gender, it's more personality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Grant, you had a question there, man.
Yes, to bring it home very quickly. Is there a difference between on the telephone selling to that face-to-face? Would you try different strategies?
100%. So you haven't got the non-verbal cues, or you've got the verbal cues. You haven't got
Body
the non-verbal cues, so you can't get body language. You can't look at their weight, their transfer of weight. I'm now speaking really fast because I can see the timer. You can't see that the way when you listen to someone, you actually use body language, not just your ears. You use your eyes. You use lots of different things.
Man, poor Leanne, just like, Leanne, speak as fast as you want, man. We don't have very inhibited or demure
We don't have a fast
network
room.
of people, man. Just go for it. Yeah, everyone's high energy in this room. You can't scare anyone here. No quality assurance.
When I'm
in this
getting a
show.
big cross, when I'm getting a big cross from Grant, I just thought, oh, I better be quiet.
Wow, Grant, you've got the power, man.
You know
It's
what?
the
I
big
just think what
X-Force.
Dan is saying is so vital that, you know what, you can't just stop in a mid-sentence. You've got to finish the sentence or the paragraph, because at the end of the day, selling is the lifeblood of every business. And therefore, if we can learn a trick and a tip, then that's what we're going to take on board right now.
Leanne, have you heard of Ari Kupla?
Have I heard of
Ari
who?
Kupla?
Sorry,
Ari Kupla.
No.
Yeah, he's produced a couple of books called Trust-Based Selling, and very much aligns with what you're saying. Like,
He's been a guest
especially
on our show.
actually, he was a guest on our show. Especially in like the over the phone sales, start slow until you get an idea of what the rhythm of the call is. So instead of calling, be like, "Hey, it's really happy to talk to you," because they're like you said, it's too familiar, right? They have no idea who you are. You don't know who they are. You can't be so excited to talk to them yet. Wait until you've like built a little bit of a
True.
connection
So
there
if you're doing over the phone sales, or you are going to speak to someone on the phone, do your research. Now, you don't have to spend hours, but you need to look at, go to LinkedIn, for instance, have a look and see what they post. Look at, I mean, again, it's understanding that translation from someone that is how they are as a person and how they come across on a social media platform or even in photos, you'll get a bit of an understanding of what they're like. So your example of, hey, how you going? That is actually great for someone like you and I, who actually would at first would go, oh, okay, but then we would warm to it. If it was someone who was more of an introvert and more of a steady and compliant person, they actually would hang up the phone. So generally with conversational rhythm in sales happens at about the 2 minute to 3 minute mark. So if it's with someone that is a similar personality to you, it will happen prior to that 2 minute mark. If not, it can be up to the 3 minute mark. That also is the responsibility of us as the seller to understand the way that someone is talking, their pauses, their rhythm, their cadence. And we do not mirror behavior whatsoever. But what happens is we fall into a natural default of rhythm with someone that we're talking to when we start engaging properly with someone. And so that's that. Over the phone selling, you need to be really aware of those other cues that you can't see.
Now, Leanne, we are past the 2 minute mark, so feel free to be more Leanne.
Oh, okay. So is that another 5 minutes?
Let's get on to the next question. We'll see how we
Okay.
go. So the next question is, are there any particular traits that make a more suitable salesperson? It's a bit of an open question, but here we go.
You got to hit
It's a
the clock.
great. Oh, okay. Hang on. Right. Okay.
We're in. We're in.
No, it didn't take us 3 minutes to get in a conversational rhythm. It took us about 30 seconds.
About like 10 seconds when we met.
That's a really good question, and it's I get asked that a lot, and people say to me, "Oh, I'm not very confident." In fact, a lot of my clients actually are analytical, medical based, even though I'm very broad in the industries that I work in. But they'll come to me and say, "Look, you understand, the medical sales can be, a little bit tricky, and we're all analytical and and evidence based. So we're introverts, we can't sell." Some of the best salespeople I have seen are those that are a little bit quiet, because someone who does take a step back is a really good listener. And listening is so important, and Grant's touching his ear. Absolutely. So important in the sales process. If you want to help someone, remember, it's not selling, helping. How do you do it without knowing what the problem is? How do you know how they feel? 90%, this was a study that came out of Harvard Business School, where I'm a graduate of. There was a study that came out, 90% of any decision we make, whether it is a business decision or a decision of, purchase, what pair of shoes am I going to buy today? Anything is based on emotion, because we are actually irrational beings. And then we then justify it with logic, which is that 10%. And when you listen to someone, and again, with those verbal and nonverbal cues, which a lot of the time, the more introvert-based people tend to do that, they can actually tap into the emotional engagement of a customer. Where when you are high energy or even more a dominant person, we're trying to get so much information out, and we love the product, and we love the customer, and we want to talk about this, we want to talk about that, and this is great, and this is great, and this is great. But we actually don't listen to what the customer is saying. That might be fantastic, but it's actually not suitable for them. So
Exactly. We're so busy trying to tell them what we do, and we're not listening to the problem that they need to have solved. And if you just stand back a little bit and let them listen to the problem, you can answer the problem by your solutions that you got on your from your team by just listening. Because if they do the talking, you are doing selling.
Yeah. So there's a little formula that I teach, and when we are cold calling / tepid warm calling, Maddie, that is when we have permission to talk more than listen, because we need to actually engage and create that rapport and get an understanding. That is the only time. From that part of the sales process onwards, the customer is always the one that talks the most. We listen. And it's much, I mean, I love talking. As much as I want to, you know, tell the world and tell the customer all these fantastic things, I need to keep quiet. And I need them to tell me how I can help them, and then I will solve the problem. But I actually don't solve it on my own. We solve it together. And I can do that because I've listened and I've understood exactly where they're coming from. So to answer the question, actually, as long as you know about what your customer needs and how they need to be helped, it doesn't matter whether
I got a question. So I'm an annoying person to call and try and sell, because I know exactly what I want. So I don't want you to waste my time telling me about the features and the solution and this or that. Just tell me how much it costs and I'll decide whether or not I want to buy it. But what I find even more frustrating is when they try and back me into their sales process. So they're like, oh, after this call, we'll do another call. We'll do a discovery call. And then after that call, we'll do another call. We'll do a strategy call. And then after that, we'll do a planning. I'm like, mate, I just need one call. Tell me what you do. Okay, cool. I like it. How much does it cost? Like the first time we met, you told me what you did. I said, how much? And I was like, okay, cool. I like how that sounds like something that will work for me. I'm going to talk to my team. Let's see if we can make it work. I was like, I don't need the...
True. But I also recognized you immediately and profiled you as a dominant / influential person. So I knew you wanted the quick, straight to the point, cut to the chase information.
This is how she got on the show.
And this is where people get it wrong. Those scripts, they run on basically probability. You interview or you call 100, you hope to get one person. We teach the skills and work on calling 10 people or engaging with 10 people and get 8, because you actually take the time to understand. So that person's never ever, they don't know who you are. They haven't even looked you up. They don't know what type of person you are. They're just reading from a script. It's the same thing for everybody. In fact, they're lucky if anyone engages, to be honest.
So that's actually my background, is IT sales, reading off a script. And I found going off script and finding your own groove with it was actually the most effective. So I would end up calling 10 people a day and selling 9 people. And it was crazy. Like, I remember getting offered crazy offers. Like, some guy was like, I'm just going to fly down to Sydney and come and pick you up and we can go on our private jet and blah, blah, blah. And it's just because it's about getting to know people. It's about taking the time to actually understand their needs, who they are, what kind of person they want to speak to, and being that person to them and providing those kind of details and useful skill sets, and identifying that and taking the time to be like, okay, who do I need to be able to talk to this person? And you can find that through any part of your life and any part of your own kind of understandings of what you've been through, which is really quite interesting.
Yeah. And, it's personal. I call it, I come from personalized medicine. This is personalized selling. And in fact, patients are like customers. They need help. Yeah. Okay, it's a different situation, obviously, but the principle is the same. The principle is the same. I need to listen to understand their problem so I can solve it and I can help them and make them feel better. Because remember, 90% is emotion. We want to feel good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, it's about to hit.
I am, and I'm too scared to open my mouth.
She's like, he doesn't want a big X again. I don't know if you guys like this guy necessarily. He's I think a bit controversial at times, but you've probably heard of Grant Cardone. And the one thing I liked in the book when I listened to his book is he said every moment in your life you're selling. If you're with your kids, you're selling your kids in on, okay, I need you to do the dishes. What are we going to do? How can we work together to get so that you enjoy doing the dishes? If it's your wife and you want to buy something and she's like, we don't have that in the budget and we need okay, so that's a negotiation. That is a selling skill. If you're in front of the customer, and that one thing really resonated with me. A lot of people, when you talk to them, they really try to segment their life into little buckets. Like, this is my business me, and this is my personal life me, and this is I'm like, mate, you're one person. Just be the one person everywhere, but learn how to be that person with not flexibility, but be that person. Sorry?
Conviction. With
With conviction, but also be
Yeah.
agile. Essentially what Leanne's saying is like, be able to be yourself within the context of the person that you're with. Know your
Yeah.
audience
That's right.
type thing. Yeah.
Life is a negotiation. I mean, I'm in a sales process when I'm trying to get my dog to, my cute little sausage dog to stop doing something.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, she talk about amplifying your sales skills.
Yeah.
It is a whole different story. That is, sausage dogs are very stubborn. They're gorgeous, but boy, are they stubborn. But you're 100% correct with your children, with your wife, with your family, with your friends. We are selling every single moment of every single day. We just don't realize it.
Yep. Yep.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very
Pets
true.
definitely test your talents to negotiate. I say to my mum, if you have a child, in 4 years, that child will be talking well enough for them to understand yes, no, don't. Your cat or dog for the next 10 years will still try and do that thing that you've told it no 1,000 times, but it won't try it as often. It'll be like, maybe now's okay. Maybe now's okay. You're like, God damn it, dog. Like, God damn it. How many times we're going to have this conversation? How many times? I told you, stop eating my plants. Yeah.
Yep, that's my life.
I am talking from experience. My cat does my head in sometimes. I was like, Mom, the number of times, like, out of nowhere, he'll start eating the bamboo plant that's in my house, but he hasn't eaten it for like 8 months, 9 months. And then he'll just go up there, but he'll do it at like 2 a.m. in the morning. So you hear rustling. You're like, what's rustling in the house? You're like, Midas, God damn it. And I turn the light on. He jumps down like, what? I didn't do nothing. He looks at you. I'm like, you
left.
Get you.
Yeah, the side eye.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The side eye.
Me.
Yeah.
Not me. That guy.
They're strategic, and strategy is part of sales, and animals and children, everyone, that we do things again based on emotion. It's strategic. So yeah.
It's back to when you're asking, you always push the envelope. You always ask. If you don't ask, you never get. It's exactly the rule. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's it.
My friends would always ask me when I was growing up, they're always asking, how do you always get a discount here and discount there and discount there? I said, number one, I spend a lot of time talking with these business owners. I'm actually genuinely interested in what's happening with them, what's happening in their business, what's changing, what's not working, what's working. Not to sell them anything. I'm just really interested in how business, and this was before I had my business. This is like high school and, college. And then we get to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, I want to buy something now. And they're like, mate, for investing the time in me, here you go. Here's 5% off, or here's a free whatever. I don't really, and I'm like, I don't really do anything. I just invest in them. I spend time with them. I acknowledge them. I actually watched this clip, which I shared on my Instagram in case you follow me, of this mailman who comes to drop a package off, and the person who lived in the house leaves a little box for him with a gift inside and a little note. And the guy gets so overwhelmed by emotion that he actually pulls his phone up and learns how to sign language, saying thank you. And then he says, I love you, thank you. That's what he does. And he signs it with the little camera that he sees sitting on the porch. And I'm like, and I was watching it, I'm thinking, how many times, like, we definitely get pissed off at our posties extremely often. How many times do we thank them?
Exactly.
Like,
and we all have a job to do, and we're very quick to criticize others, but we seldom thank or give good feedback, unfortunately. And again, as I said in the beginning, we are social creatures. We like to be around people. But what happens is we don't get the opportunity, and people are withdrawn. So when you have someone that actually spends the time and is interested in you, you latch on emotionally.
We sure do.
Okay, last question, and then we'll wrap this baby up. When it's coming to the close or the closing of a deal, are there different methods? What's your philosophy to the close? And can the hard sell or that hard push end up damaging the brand or the business's reputation?
Yeah,
I'm just going to grab this with that. Ooh, there we go.
Have I got a timer for this?
Of course, you always got timers.
7 minutes.
All right. Got 7 minutes. Speak quick.
All right. We started. Okay. Yes, and to be honest, we talk about closing a lot, and closing should not be a single event. It's dynamic throughout the entire sales process. So the handling objections and understanding where there's some roadblocks or where there's some challenges. That shouldn't be at the end of the conversation or the end of the sales process. It needs to be addressed during the process. If you wait to the end, it's too late. It's way too late. In fact, you won't close.
Everyone's frozen. Nope, Leanne's frozen. Grant's back.
I think it's just Leanne.
Leanne, no.
Oh no.
This is the hard question. Should I pause the
This is
timer?
the best question of all.
I know.
No,
Leanne. Oh, she's back.
Yeah. Come on.
I'll rewind the timer
I'm still
a little
here.
bit. Oh,
I'm here.
Oh.
Here we go. Come on.
I'm definitely here. I was talking the whole time.
Oh, then say whatever you said again, just in
What
case.
did you hear?
Say it again. Just say it again.
Okay, so so
We
closing,
heard the bit where you said closing is the whole process, and if you're handling the objections at the end, then you missed the boat.
You missed the opportunity.
That's right. That's right. And so what happens is it needs to be a dynamic process. So it's something that is happening the entire time. So as you are having conversations and engaging with the customer, you are looking for the opportunity of commitment, of the intent to purchase. And if there isn't an intent, why not? What's happened? Where have you lost the customer? What's the roadblock? What's the challenge? And you address it along the way. What happens with a lot of salespeople, and this is where scripts and playbooks come in and can jeopardize a sales process, is they just go for the hard sell. They actually don't have the skills. It's just like, I've got to get this sale. And this is where financial metrics, targets put a lot of pressure on salespeople. One of the biggest demotivators is financial metrics. We all know we need to reach targets, and we need, and there's budgets and revenue that needs to come into the business. But when you focus on that, it creates desperation, which people can sense, and you actually lose more sales than you win. So with the intent of helping and to getting that commitment, that's what happens. Now, the hard sell, absolutely. We put a lot of work in building our integrity, our reputation, being, the proud salespeople that we are, or the proud brand or the proud business. It only takes one thing, and that could be being too pushy, and that's it. You've lost the customer. Yeah. That trust literally is going down the drain faster than you can put the plug in. And it is almost impossible to get redemption and to actually get that back. It's almost impossible. So long gone are the days of that hard sell. There are tactics and biases that we use in terms of the principles of influence with, reciprocity and accountability and scarcity and liking and unity and all those principles from Dr. Robert Cialdini. But, there's a way that we actually implement this, that ethical influence that I said at the beginning of the show. When we engage in that properly, the close is natural and it happens. And that's how you sell properly.
Absolutely.
What about creating a sense of urgency? We're often told, create a sense of urgency, create a sense of urgency, create a sense of urgency. Do you feel like there is a place for that in the sales process? How would you suggest people use it? Is there, what's your thoughts on?
So urgency and scarcity are two different things, believe it or not. And urgency, no, but scarcity, yes. So there is a cognitive bias called loss aversion. We actually value losing something more than gaining something. So, and I talk about this in pricing psychology a lot, where the use of $0 or the word free, they have totally opposite connotations. And so if we are going to lose something, we'll hold on to it, even if we're going to gain more. But the risk is way too high. So the sense of urgency seems to be, there's going to be a loss. So we tend to panic, where when there's scarcity, it's almost like FOMO. It's like, I've got an opportunity. I'm not going to entirely miss out, but I may. So there's that potential of losing something which we value more than actually gaining something. So
Sure.
the timing or the urgency isn't what creates the influence. It's the scarcity and the fear of missing out because of the value that and the emotional triggers that it has for us. So that's the difference in that aspect.
Interesting.
Another thing I would like to know
Loss
is
aversion. Loss aversion is really interesting. Cognitive bias. Yep.
also when in a company, I believe that everyone should become a salesperson in a company. You might not be the salesperson making calls, but you should be answering the phone and responding. Everybody should be a salesperson in your company.
100%. So you are a representative of the company. You're an ambassador of the company. You are marketing the company. You are talking on behalf of the company. You yourself, and this is where people get caught up with, their private and personal social media platforms and accounts that they put all these things on. And someone goes and looks at, Leanne, and I've got all these silly things, which I don't, obviously, silly things on there. Is that what the business is really like? Is that what they do? They're not that professional, So of course we are extremely professional, but it gives the illusion and it gives that perception that they're not a good business to work with and they're not trustworthy. So we need to remember that we are constantly, 100% correct, constantly selling. Whether it is just speaking to someone or talking to someone on the phone or just engaging in just a conversation on the street, we might bump into a customer, or a potential client. It sells.
Or even just answering a telephone call, you're still representing the brand. You're still selling, even though you're on invoices or delivery notes, you're still selling.
100%. If you are, yep, absolutely. It's like being in a hospital when, someone's going to have surgery. The doctor is the person, the surgeon, and the anaesthetist are the important people. Well, actually, so is the porter, because the porter has started the journey of bringing the patient to there. Without that, there's no sale.
I think the worst or the most tangible example of this is hospitality, where you walk into this beautiful restaurant and then every minute from that point on, the service is horrible, or the delivery from the kitchen is horrible, or and you're just sitting there and you're going, I can't believe I'm paying any money, let alone this much money for this level. If I'm going to have to get up and ask for things and make demands, and I might as well have just stayed home and cooked some noodles again, then I wouldn't have to deal with all this frustration. And I think a lot of people in hospitality don't appreciate how much good culture bleeds into the way that people then build rapport with that brand and with that business. And you see a lot of the hospitality businesses don't build culture at all. Like they're like, oh, we're just getting these temporary people from overseas. They're going to work for us and da da da. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Wherever they're from, they're still people, and they're going to be treating the people that come in the way that you treat them. That's the brand. They are your ambassadors. They're the front line. I never meet the manager unless I'm angry.
That's right.
But I meet that staff member the second I walk in. Make it the best second that you can,
100%.
And the ones that have, you go back all the time.
And the difference between seeing a smiling person coming towards you to take you to a table or to help you with whatever you need, or someone that actually looks like you're putting them out, will change the entire customer journey.
Yeah. I remember this story. I went with my cousin in the US, and we saw a jacket that we really liked. It was on a mannequin right at the on top above all the shelves. So we called over one of the people that worked there, and I said, hey, any chance you would be able to get that down? Because I'm pretty sure that's my size. She rolls her eyes because she's like, oh, too hard basket. She gives a little snuff and then just kind of walks off. And my cousin yells out, well, if you don't like your job, then just quit. Now she comes back, she gets the jacket down, but by that time, I'd already decided I'm not buying this jacket. Like, I don't really care that much for the jacket. Not so much that I could be bothered waiting, and then we just ended up leaving. Like, we didn't even really try it on because she kind of brought it down. We looked at it and went, okay, thank you, and then left. And I was like, all that energy you poured into that reception to us not only lost you the sale, but it also lost our respect for the brand and for that store. So and then we never went back again. And I lived there for like a year and a half, never set foot in that store again. Like, it was done.
There you go.
Yeah. Very interesting. Man, I don't even know how to wrap this show up. I feel like Like it's almost the longest show we've ever had, and I think we should keep going. Screw it. Screw the timer. No, I'm kidding. Leanne, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you so much for
My
that
pleasure.
information,
Thank you
for putting it all
for
out on
having
the
me on.
table.
And I love
Yeah.
robust conversation that's really deep, and also, providing a lot of knowledge and learning from you guys too. It's always fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like we should have taken notes. I'm going to watch the recording back, be like, all the little gold secrets here. Leanne, it's exposed. No, I think there's phenomenal value in what you do. And it is one of the scariest things in every business, which is why the service that we've created to support businesses has really taken off. And we love being there and creating these opportunities for all the people that are in our network. And the selling is a hard piece. It's one of the hardest. And it's the first and last thing that people remember of the process, because even when you deliver the product, if it was delivered through a sale that was not aligned or was pushed onto somebody, they will always look at that product and go, I resent, or I was not excited about getting this product, and now I'm stuck with it. Instead of thinking, man, I love this product, I'm so happy that we went along with this.
Anyone can sell something once. You can fluke a sale once, but can you sell 20 times, 30 times for 2 years, 5 years, 20 years? No, that's where you need those skills and those strategies to understand your customer for sustainable selling and business.
Mate, what a good way to cap the show. Maddie, any last words?
I've stayed pretty quiet. I think Leanne's the one that has the insight.
Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened was Maddie was just nodding a lot. She was like, yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And it's a big part of what we talk about. It's a big part of what we talk about is really just knowing our client.
A lot of the time. Like, obviously there are different closing techniques, and using scarcity is really important, but it's all about getting to know your client. It's all about knowing if they have a dog and knowing all about them and understanding how to have that conversation and keeping that sense of like consistency up there where they feel like they are being nurtured and cared for. So making sure they are the ideal client. So yeah, I was just like, what she said.
She's over there though. Well, she's there. Yeah, there you go. We all got Grant, anything else you want to throw in there? Just 2 seconds, man.
Here we go. Look, this is going to be tough, but this was definitely an entertaining session where we were really bringing it together. I was taking notes, and let me tell you, the following is important. We are always selling. Everybody in your company is selling. You need to listen more, and talk less. You need to negotiate all the time, and closing is never a singular event. There we have it. That is a fantastic ingredient.
What a good student.
What the show was all about, and I was taking notes.
Mate, that was phenomenal. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You get the apple back. The teacher's giving the apple back. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. That was a phenomenal show. I feel like we honestly could just talk forever. But for everyone that was listening, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, comment, share. Give us some controversial topics or some guests that you'd love to see on the show. We're always trying to fill it full of amazing people just like Leanne. I think that was it. Is there anything else I need to say in that wrap up, Grant? Did I forget anything?
I think we got it.
Yeah, you'd think after this long, I would remember how to do it.
Don't forget to and send questions.
Send questions. Thank you very much, everybody. Hope to see you on the next show 2 weeks from now. We'll see you Thursday at 4 p.m. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.